I'm Nathan Brinklow, or Tyendinaga in Mohawk. I'm Mohawk from Tyendinaga Mohawk territory, and I'm an instructor in language and other things at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario.
And I'm Elijah Gould. I am this year's Harmsworth Professor of American History at Oxford. Normally, I'm at the University of New Hampshire, and I teach and write and research about the American Revolution.
So, what is a treaty? A treaty, I think, from our perspective, is a relationship more than a document or a thing. It's one person, two people. I guess there has to be more than one, but it's just how we behave with each other and things that we agree to in common. So none of that exists without a relationship. I think through our history we see that paper doesn't mean anything. It doesn't hold its value in the way that relationship can do. And so thinking about the covenant chain and those kinds of traditions are meant to keep the relationship alive so that it keeps the agreement alive, because the agreement doesn't survive beyond everybody's kind of active participation. So in keeping a relationship polished and clean and new and bright through a covenant relationship, and using the idea of the chain, then we keep the agreement, which is not stable. It grows and it changes as new people come to the table, new issues arise, and it becomes a collection of ways that we deal with each other and the way we relate to each other in official diplomatic contexts.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, so I think if you ask the person on the street what is a treaty, they probably would say, if they said anything, they would probably say a document, and they probably would think of it in textual terms. But absolutely, a treaty, and in certainly the period I study, a treaty as much was the negotiation as it was the document to emerge from that negotiation. And, you know, as you said, Nathan, seeing it as a relationship and a negotiation, an ongoing process, reminds us that treaties aren't stable. They can mean one thing and serve one purpose in one moment, and take on very different meanings and serve very different purposes in others. And they can be modes of conquest and oppression, but the oppressed and the conquered can oftentimes turn them around and readjust that. And I think one of the things that's so fascinating about treaties is the fluidity that is built into them, because a treaty is never written by just one person. Or at least it shouldn't be. It is a collaborative process, and just the act of engaging in a treaty, you know, even when it's asymmetric, and oftentimes they are asymmetric, nonetheless involves some degree of recognition and conversation and concession, even when there's an imbalance of power. So yeah, I think that's really interesting.
And thinking about what would the average person say on the street, I think that it's tied to the verb to treat.
Yes.
Right? Like people wouldn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
You might have a concept of a treaty, but to treat it would be completely lost. So the idea of the process is I would think absent from most people's thinking.
Well, you know, that's interesting, because to treat means, you know, I'm going to take you out for dinner, and the first round's on me. And yet there is an element of that hosting involved in treaties. They have to happen somewhere. And where they happen is hugely important. You know, is it, you know, who's hosting it? And that oftentimes is hugely important. I mean, at the same time, they are written documents. And much as we might not like that fact, the kind of the writtenness, the materiality of the treaty usually is also important, and oftentimes in really unfortunate ways.
Yeah, I mean the physical objects themselves on both sides, the written documents or in our case, the wampum memorials or memory devices.
Mhm.
Right? The point is it contains the agreement in some way. So if that's in a written form, well, then so be it. If it's in something that just helps you remember, well, then that's great too.
Yeah.
But that the text, whether that's written or oral, survives multiple kind of gatherings, multiple groups of people, and can be, as you said, interpreted and reinterpreted and applied in different situations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, you know, I mean, treaties, they can be between totally distinct, two or more distinct entities, but they can also become charters of government. So the United Kingdom is based on a treaty of union between England and Scotland. The American Constitution has been called both a charter of government and a treaty between states. And it's you think of the European Union, and so and in fact, that can be one of the areas where you have slippage. Which is it? And different people at different moments will have different reasons for taking one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.